Hello, everybody. These are two titles from two different white papers. Absorb them for a second. Which do you think a busy financial executive will be more likely to want to read? Smart people. Now, they both are probably pretty dry to you guys, but believe it or not, it is the second one that's more intriguing to a busy executive. The first one talks all about the product, and the second one actually brings up a point that might be intriguing to a busy exec. I work a lot with companies that sell enterprise solutions, and they come to me frustrated because their lead generation's pretty good, and they feel like they're hitting all the right notes. They're checking all the right boxes with their content marketing. They're creating the right assets. They're building email nurture sequences to go with those assets, but it's just not working. Those leads aren't turning into sales. Those emails aren't even getting opened. The content isn't being consumed. It's not being shared. It's very sad. And what I usually discover is that one or both of these things is happening. Their marketing content is overly technical. Often it's written by engineers and developers. Or they are hitting their audience over the head with a sales pitch way too early and way too often. Now, in the first case here, that's the equivalent of going on a first date and giving your date the details of how you brush your teeth. They probably don't need that information when they're first getting to know you. I don't know if they ever need that information. And the second case is the equivalent of asking for marriage on that first date. It's pushy, right? Now, these companies, their hearts are in the right place. They see the value of building relationships with their leads, with their customers. They just need to take a more romantic approach to it. They need to woo a little bit more. Bring that human connection into the content. Put conversation before conversion. Because humans buy from other humans. And if our companies, if our businesses are to grow and to succeed for the long term, we need to connect with our customers. And we need to build these relationships. And this, I believe, is the most important job of marketing content. Now, in my nearly 20 years of helping companies create this relationship building content, I've learned 3 important things. First, a no now doesn't mean no forever. Now, if you truly believe that your solution will solve a problem for your customers, and you can help your customers envision a future with you, you can usually take that initial no as a not right now. I want you all to bring to mind one of your favorite romance stories. A popular story, a classic story. It can be a book, it can be a movie, whatever comes to mind. Most of you are probably thinking of a story that involves some initial pursuit, right? One person is pursuing another. Maybe there's some back and forth going on. And does anybody remember this famous couple? Ross and Rachel from Friends. Classic pursuit story. A longtime client of mine, Showcase Workshop, had this kind of Ross and Rachel relationship going on with BP, a global company. Showcase Workshop pitched BP on the idea of using the Showcase app as a solution to digitize BP's paper schematics and merchandising guides. And BP loved the idea, but they just weren't ready yet. Showcase Workshop did not give up. They spent 6 years building relationships with people within BP. They spent 6 years getting to know what problems were happening within the company, different divisions, different geographies, and looking for opportunities to solve those problems using the Showcase app. And in those 6 years, Showcase Workshop sent content, targeted, relevant content to their connections within the company. These weren't sales pitches. These weren't even email blasts. These were white papers and articles and case studies, things that were meant to genuinely help them and bring value to these people that they were trying to get to know. Today, BP is a 6-figure customer of Showcase Workshop with 946 users in the US alone. Which brings me to the second point. Long-term relationships are the foundation of long-term business growth. Anybody familiar with this show? It's a really crazy reality show. The premise is that the contestants are paired up with partners and they agree to marry that partner the first time they meet them. These couples live together as married couples for 8 weeks. And at the end of that time, they have to decide if they are going to get divorced or stay married. How many of you believe that the ones that decided to stay married are going to stay married for the long term? Yeah, it's probably pretty unlikely, right? And we know this. We know that taking the time and the attention to building relationship results in a healthier relationship, results in a long-term relationship, and maybe eventually will result in marriage. Or in the case of marketing, result in a sale. You're not going to sell a 6-figure enterprise solution on one email blast or one white paper. You have to design your content to build relationship over time. So don't do this. Don't do that. I don't know about you, but I get these emails all the time. I don't know who this company is. I'm not ready to work with them, I'll tell you that much. So don't do that. Which brings me to point number 3. A relationship cannot exist without conversation. So think about some relationships in your life. Think about your friends, family, colleagues, your favorite barista, your mailman, your hairdresser. Can you think of a single relationship that doesn't involve conversation? Probably not. Now, a lot of companies make the mistake of believing that if they are communicating, they are having conversation. This is not true. Communication can be a one-way thing. Conversation is a mutual exchange. It's a two-way exchange. Now, earlier this year, an executive from an AI company reached out to me for some content writing coaching. He's a super smart guy, cutting edge company, and he wanted to establish himself as more of a thought leader in the AI space. So he comes to me with this article idea. It's a good idea. And also this monster outline. I mean, whew, what a beast. And this, he just felt completely overwhelmed by the whole thing. I'll just put it that way. He didn't know how to bring all this together, make it cohesive and clear for the people that he wanted to reach. So what I did is I walked him through my REO framework. This is a framework I developed working with technology companies that, traditionally have some struggle building those human relationships with their customers. I talked him through this. We talked about the relationship that he wanted to build with his target audience, with his readers. We talked about the experience that he wanted to provide for them, the feelings that he wanted to evoke in them, and his objective for this article, which was to stir conversation. He wanted to get the conversation going around conversational AI. We also talked about what objective the reader might have for reading this article, which gave us some nice perspective. And together we determined that LinkedIn would be the best place to do this. So the light bulb went off for him after we went through this process. And he now knew exactly the more narrow topic that he wanted to hit on. We were able to structure this article so it not only made the point very clear, but it drove home the point and it achieved his objective. He wrote this article. I did not write it for him. He did a fantastic job. We published it on LinkedIn, and these were his results. Lots of likes and comments, more success than any article that had been published by our company. Now, I actually went out and I looked at his article on LinkedIn a few weeks after he'd published it. Conversation was happening right there in the comments. It was so exciting. He was building relationships right there on LinkedIn with his article. Very exciting stuff. So let's try to remember to take a more romantic approach with our content. Let's put conversation before conversion. It'll help set us up for longer-term relationships, longer-term success. Because remember, a no now doesn't mean no forever. Long-term relationships are the foundation of long-term business growth, and relationship cannot exist without conversation. I would love to continue the conversation with you. Here's my contact information, and let's chat some more.